views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Coming up, are you a homeowner and are you planning to purchase a home? Are you a first-time home buyer? Well, how do you navigate the space to get funding? Maybe you're going through the process now. Well, maybe you're trying to sell your house, or what are your options? How does community development versus re-gentrification affect you? Well, coming up on this edition of Perspectives, we ask all these questions to our real estate expert who joins us next. You're watching Perspectives with yours truly, Daren Jaime. We start now.
What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, you speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective with shines of light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life.
Make a difference.
What's your perspective?
Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective.
What's your perspective?
And hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Perspectives. I am Daren Jaime, and of course, we invite you to join us every week here on Perspectives. We're here on Channel 67. If you have BronxNet's Verizon Files, that would be Channel 33, or anytime, of course, on the web at bronxnet.org. And we invite you to stay connected to us via our social networking sites. And there's also Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Facebook. Also, be up on my professional page, Daren C. Jaime, and you can get some new information, new perspectives, and also some inspiration for your day. Well, coming up on this edition of Perspectives, we got a very special guest. Our guest today, the CEO of the No Fico Score Group, a company that she founded in the year 2005. She's been a mortgage originator and real estate investor for over 25 years. She's also a popular radio personality, appearing on a number of entertainment and news shows throughout the New York City area. She's a national real estate advocate, a staunch proponent of creating generational wealth with real estate property investments, and she's here to answer all our questions about real estate, as well as give us some advice. We welcome now Gail Allen to the show. And Gail, good to have you.
Good to be here, Daren.
I'm finally glad to have you here on Perspectives with me. Thank you so much for coming and sharing.
Thank you for inviting me.
Good. So let's talk about real estate. That's your area of expertise. And let me talk to you first of all about the real estate market today. How do you see it today? Because is it a market to buy or is it a market to sell for you?
Well, actually, it depends on the location. And real estate's always location, location, location.
Right.
So if you're speaking of the Bronx, if you're speaking of Brooklyn, if you're speaking of, let's say, Bergen County in New Jersey, Hudson County, real estate is doing quite well. It's going through the roof. It's almost, it's escalating sometimes maybe 10, 15%, maybe more each year in terms of appreciation. So real estate is doing quite well. Now, what's happening, I can see a lot of people are losing property, and that's because of the job market. When we hear this great news about how fine and healthy our economy is, how robust the job market is, when you start looking at the properties that are going into foreclosure within various communities of color, you find that people are actually losing their properties because they aren't able to hold on because of the type of work that they are not able to find. So if you lose your good paying job for $125,000, $50,000, whatever it is, you and your spouse, you're both earning $75,000 a year, someone loses a job, it's very, very difficult in this job market to find a good paying employment, one that will take care of your family.
And when you talk about taking care of your family, obviously, a lot of people struggle with that, and that translates into possibly losing your home. And
well, I mean, you know, the rule is it's a federal law that most banks follow. If you're 30 days late, you try to pay that 30-day late, and you owe the second payment, you may get away with it. But after you're 3 months late, you're considered to be in pre-foreclosure. Now they want all of the money, and now you're asking the bank to give you a loan modification or some type of forbearance. The problem with that is during the Obama administration, We had programs in place to help people, but now that HAMP program has sunset. I think it sunsetted maybe 2018. Yeah.
So when you talk about refusing to modify loans, we hear the banks are sometimes refusing to remodify loans. Why is that?
Well, banks aren't in the business of, first of all, taking houses back. They really don't want your house. They really do want your payment. So they figure if you can't pay the mortgage, if you can't prove to the bank that you can actually pay a modified, that is a lowered interest rate, maybe they'll take your late payments of 3-4 months or 3-5 years, put it on the end of the loan. But if you can't qualify for a lower payment, then they just really want to hurry up and usher you out of the house with a foreclosure and sell that property and start making payments through another borrower.
You talked about banks really don't want your house; they really want the money, right?
They really want your money, your payment.
Yeah. So, are there laws when you have an issue when you want to have your loan modified? Because I hear a lot of people talk about, I want my loan to be modified. But are there laws that are on the books that can actually help somebody to have their loans modified?
To be honest with you, as I said, the HAMP program is no longer around. You are at the mercy of your lender if you're asking for a loan modification. Okay. Now what happens is the real law that the lender will follow is, gee whiz, are we going to do better if we allow this person to go into foreclosure and we sell the property, or should we just go on and lower his interest rate or her interest rate and have her reinstate the loan, and hopefully he or she will continue to pay on time. You're at the mercy of the banks. You cannot really make a bank unless you find some type of fraudulent activity with the bank. Maybe you weren't serviced properly when they notified you of your pre-foreclosure. Maybe the servicing there was an error. They skipped over your spouse and they only served you, or there was another borrower on the loan that was not served properly or given notice of a pre-foreclosure. So, but usually if you go to your bank and you're earnest and you're honest about it, and you say, this is my income now. True, it's not as much as it was when I first originated this loan, but if you lower my rate from 5% to 3.5% or 3, sometimes 2%, I will be able to make those payments in a timely manner. And here are my tax returns, and here is my most recent pay stub to prove so. Your bank may say, you know what, Daren, what you're making is good, but we don't quite feel it's enough. Then you can say, well, my sister's living with us, and she's coming on.
Right.
Yeah. Or you can say, you know what, we've just rented out our extra apartment or a mother and sister unit in the basement, whatever. And that's another $1,000 or $1,500 a month. That's what you must do. So I offer loan modifications. I call it my ministry. Because I really don't like charging. Why? Because people, if you can't afford the mortgage, how are you going to afford $5,000, $6,000 for a loan modification?
Yeah, but you got so many people out there that are actually affected by it. And when you talk about really getting a mortgage these days, obviously things have changed. The mortgage game has changed. I got to take a quick break. I want to talk to you a little bit about that because you say you don't need a FICO score to get a mortgage. I want to hear that.
Okay.
I want you to tell me about that.
Let's talk about that.
I want you to tell the people about that. We'll be right back with Perspectives in a few.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
Love it.
cross-referencing travel sites, and booking all your flights with those.
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh, but now they're like, aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted
Hey, we're back here on Perspectives. Daren Jaime here with you. Our guest in studio, real estate expert Gail Allen, and she's sharing with us some much needed tips and what you need to know about home ownership, mortgage, scores, all of that. I talked to you about, no FICO score.
Yes.
And when we talk about getting a mortgage, many people are told it's your FICO score that makes the difference. And you say what?
I say it does make a difference. However, you can purchase property without having a FICO score.
What do you need?
Okay, what you need is a good job, and what you need is to have no credit. You can purchase property without credit, okay? And what will happen is you end up using community credit. FHA has an excellent program for people with no credit. First of all, it's 3.5% down on a 1 to 4 family home, okay? You can ask your seller to pay for your closing, included in the loan. And you can have no credit. So what you'll end up using is, let's say maybe you'll go to the cleaners, and sometimes you'll say, listen, I'll pay you at the end of the month, and you pick up your clothing every week, you pay it at the end of the month. Your cleaners will write a letter saying that you are a good payer, you pay on time. Perhaps you have PSE&G, you can use that. If you have a cell phone, you're getting your monthly bills from AT&T, you can use that as proof of payment. You can use your rent, you're living somewhere, you aren't living for free,
Right.
you're paying your rent somewhere, so you can use your rental verification form as proof of credit that you're credit worthy. That's what the bank wants to know. So I started this company in 2005 called the No FICO Score Group. It's because during that time, you had Countrywide, you had AmeriQuest, you had all of these great banks that were offering loans, and all you had to do was just show that you had breath on the mirror, and you were able to get a loan. But you needed a very high FICO score.
Right.
They wanted 700, 750, and I thought that was very, very, very unfair. There is a way with FHA to buy a home, as I said, a 1 to 4 family home without having a FICO score. And you can go as low as 550 with FHA with a FICO score, and that's pretty low.
Talk to me a little bit about, today we hear these shows, flipping houses, right? And flipping houses. Good time or bad time to really be into the house flipping?
Great time to flip.
Really?
Oh my goodness, you just need to know what to look for.
Okay.
Okay, so you're in your car, and you're taking your kids to school, and you're in another neighborhood, and you said, let me get out and walk around and see what's here. And you see a dilapidated home, and you look around, the other homes are pretty swell, they look okay. And you want to know who owns this building. And you'll ask and you'll talk to a few other neighbors, and they say, oh, he moved down south with his wife, they decided the children didn't want the house, and then you'll send out a card, I'd like to buy your building. Okay? Or maybe you'll call me the MLS listings, and you see something that's been on the market for a while. They're asking maybe $450, you go buy it, you say, look, the house needs a lot of work. And so you offer maybe $225. You may get it. You may get it. Now, what happens is there are two kinds of flipping, really. There's something called wholesale flipping. When you flip wholesale, and this is how you make money in the game of flipping without taking any money out of your pocket. You're doing it by yourself. So there's a home. You see it. Okay? They're asking only, I'm going to use even figures, $100,000 to buy this property. You know that really it's worth maybe $200,000. But she wants to leave. She's retired. She wants to move back to Ohio or Italy, wherever she wants to go. Now, you're going to contract this home for, let's say, $150,000. What is the as-is value of the home, though? $200,000. What are you buying it for? Daren, I like you so much, baby. Take this house for $100,000, but you got to close within 30 days. You're buying it for $100,000. The market value of this dilapidated piece of wood is $200,000. you're going to find a buyer you'll say, Gail, do you have a buyer who's looking for a home in Connecticut? It needs a lot of work. I'm selling it for $150,000. Do you know anyone? And I say, you know what? I've got some investors that are always looking for houses to renovate in Connecticut. And then I'll send you that buyer. He pays $150,000. How much did you pay for the house?
100.
How much is your profit?
$50,000.
$50,000. How much came out of your pocket?
Nothing.
Nothing. That's called wholesale flipping.
Right.
And we show you how to do it and how to do it legally
Right.
with a title company and an attorney. That's one way of flipping. And these are the things you learn in my seminars. And by the way, may I mention my
Absolutely.
my website is askgailaboutrealestate.com. And if you go there, you'll see some of the dates coming up in the Bronx. And we've got something coming up May 22nd in Jamaica, Richmond Hills. That's at 110-20 Jamaica Avenue, and that's the second floor. But, you know, you can also call me at 973-389-3347, and I'll give you some other dates. But these are the things that we talk about.
Right. What are the common mistakes that people are making during this time?
When they're buying a property,
Yeah.
paying too much for it. If someone tells you, I want $650 for my two-family, and you look and you say, yeah, you wish. And you say, listen, you know maybe you can probably get it for like maybe $5. Or maybe, so you'll ask to give them $4. I'll give you $4 for it. And they're going to cry. But my point is that you're offering money. Money is a value in real estate. You're offering a thing of value, consideration. All right, you've been trying to sell Mr. Seller or Mrs. Seller for 6 months or for a year. You're asking $650. So they overpay. So never overpay for property. Never fall in love with it. Never think that you're selling the Taj Mahal and it's worth $9 billion if it's only worth $750.
Right.
That's the problem.
The biggest problem they make.
Yeah, and then not being prepared to purchase. You and your wife, you're married, you would like to buy a condominium in Harlem, wonderful, and you know you're making the money, but you haven't really looked at your credit. So you've got to be credit worthy to buy. And I find a lot of people are scuffling at the last minute, you know, at the mortgage table with the bank trying to figure out how they're going to pay off old debt and how can they hurry up and rescore their credit report to get something like at least 650 or 675 in order to get a decent interest rate. Because the higher your interest rate, in theory, I mean, the higher your credit score in theory, the lower your interest rate. And that is a theory because you know sometimes pay points for an interest rate.
Right.
You know, if you want the lowest interest rate.
Yep. I want to talk about this too. We hear a lot today, and I do a little bit, community development versus regentrification.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you.
Yeah.
That's we can get up under your skin on that one. Yeah.
Well, part of that's our fault too. But what's happening is you have different groups coming into Black and Hispanic communities, and they're buying up properties. You can name the Bronx. The Bronx is. I remember when no one would think about really buying anything too much in the Bronx. So we go to Brooklyn, or we're going to go to Harlem, Sugar Hill. But now the Bronx is hot. You can't touch the Bronx. Okay, and so what's happening? We have special interest groups coming into the communities. They're buying up these properties for a song, and they're able to redevelop with other monies, community monies or federal monies. But the problem is what they're developing is unaffordable to the native, to the person who grew up within that community. And they try and do set-asides. Or we're going to set aside out of 3,000 units, we're going to set aside, let's say, 2% for, you know, lower income families. And I think we, as a people, as a community, should do more to not just prevent it, but to be a part of the redevelopment. That's why it's important to learn about. I really do think that real estate, buying and selling, should be in junior high and high school.
Right. It's something that really needs to be taught early on because, I mean, the key to wealth in a lot of places really falls in the area of real estate. Got to take a quick break, talk a little bit more with Gail. We'll be back with more in just a few seconds. Stay with us. We'll come right back in a few.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally.
I did. Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls. But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Did you know that strollers have the right of way on the sidewalk?
Yes.
Yep, I did. Did you guys
Did you know that kids who eat breakfast have higher GPAs?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That's actually what I was going to say.
Did you know babies should never touch silver? It's really bad for them.
I knew that.
Did you guys know that statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected.
I'm putting that on my blog.
I just put it in mine.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving, the ultimate party foul.
And back here on Perspectives, Daren Jaime here with you. Our guest in studio, Gail Allen, and she's giving us some real estate tips that we need to know about. And listen, a lot was said too during the President Trump administration about the cuts to first-time home buyers. Talk to us about first-time home buyers. Is there still resources available if you're a first-time home buyer?
Well, actually, there's a group called the NACA group, N-A-C-A, and they are nationwide. What I love about this group, they're advocates for home buying, okay, first-time home buyers, and even homeowners who have high interest rates and they can't really refinance with their bank because, again, the FICO score is too low. NACA will actually, if you go through their program, you do not need a down payment. NACA will also pay for the closing costs. And usually their interest rates normally run at least a point to maybe 3/4 less than what you will find with the bank rate on the street, the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac bank rate, the Federal Reserve rate. They're usually very, very competitive. So that is still available. What's hurting real estate right now with this administration, and I don't know if he meant for it to play out this way or what, okay? I'm always looking for the bright side of things, you know. But the SALT Act, that is the $10,000 limitation on the amount of taxes that you can write off in terms of real estate, is really hurting property owners right now. And I know New York and New Jersey, they were meeting to try to go to Washington to get Washington to turn around and at least alleviate some of the pressure that's on some of the homeowners who have, let's say, on a single-family home. Really, here in the Bronx, you can pay $15,000 a month on a two-family very easily here in the Bronx.
Right.
$50,000, I'm sorry, a year, annual taxes I'm speaking of. But you're only able to write off $10,000 with this SALT Act that this present administration has put in place as of 2018.
Wow, lots to think about. Talk to me a little bit about this. First-time home buyer. I bought my home for the very first time, but I really, I could be a first-time home buyer again?
Absolutely, absolutely. If you haven't owned a home within 3 years, okay, as your primary residence, you can actually apply again as a first-time home buyer.
Really?
If you haven't owned a home. So many people think first-time home buyer, you have to buy a home just once in life and you're no longer a first-time home buyer ever again. No, you get to be a teenager again. You get to be a teenager twice, 2, 3 times.
So if I own a home and I live there, you're telling me that like 3 years later I could go out and purchase another property as a first time?
If you don't live there.
Oh, if you don't live there.
It can't be your primary.
Okay.
Okay? If you haven't owned property in 3 years, okay, you can be a first-time home buyer. If you had a foreclosure and it was 3 years ago, if you had a bankruptcy and you lost your home in bankruptcy 3 years ago, you are a first-time home buyer.
Ah,
That's how it works.
Things you need to know, right?
These are things you need to know.
That's why people need to know you.
That's why they need to visit my website, AskGailAboutRealEstate.com.
And so if people want to know how to get connected to you, where else they can find you? Talk to us about that. Where can they find
Well, actually, my company's a No FICO Score group, and we're real estate consultants, and we're nationwide. So if someone's going through a foreclosure, they want to do a short sale, or they would like to have a small investment group, and they would love to start investing, whether it be in California, Florida, New York, New Jersey, I can be reached at AskGailAboutRealEstate.com. You can also reach me at 973-389-3347, or you can email me at letgailhelpyou@gmail.com. Let Gail help you.
Right. And then we hear you on the radio sometimes.
Yeah, I am. But I'm also doing things here in the Bronx. I got some new things coming up, developing. You know, so just come to my website and you'll get a chance to see what we're doing and how we're helping homeowners who are losing their property, young investors, older investors who want to get started. Who need a quick start in buying and flipping properties. There's lots of money to be made in flipping property. What I told you is just the tip of the iceberg. And if you are listening out there, you would like to get started, you don't know how, we've got something called the Fix or Flip a Quick Start. Call me at 973-389-3347. I'll give you the addresses of where we're holding the seminar. And if you have a church or if you have a club and you would like me to come and speak to your members about any real estate issues or real estate matters that they are concerned about in this changing economic climate that we have right now, we never know what's going on from one day to the next. Give me a call.
All right. Well, Gail Allen's been our guest here. You got to ask her. You got to stay connected to her. Thank you for coming to Perspectives and hanging out.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're coming back soon, I hope.
Thank
yes.
you.
We'll have to have her
pleasure.
back. Gail Allen, talking a little bit about real estate. Now, listen, if you want to get connected, don't forget to hit her up at her email, letgailhelpyou at gmail.com, and askgailaboutrealestate.com. You'll be able to get connected to her. Obviously, a wealth of information that we could not just unpack in 30 minutes, but we gave you enough to at least get you started. And that's what the show is really all about, getting a perspective, understanding, and then taking advantage of the information that's been given. So that about wraps it up for this edition of Perspectives. I'm Daren Jaime saying, for all of us here on the set of Perspectives, thank you for watching. Until next time we meet, stay safe, share your perspective with somebody else you don't know. It just might make a difference in somebody else's life. God bless.
Let 'em know.
What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Let 'em know. Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, you speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't